Okay, so now we have exported our data from Spotify into our Excel spreadsheet, into our Excel workbook. 3 spreadsheets within the same workbook, one for each playlist. Now what we want to do is we want to add that data. We're actually going to have to do this 3 times as we're going through so that each is treated as a unique data source. So we choose Microsoft Excel, you find your data, click on it and open it, and that's going to bring you in. So for this first set, what you want to do is grab whatever your first playlist was. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to just drag it up here. That's going to import the data. You can see it. You can actually manipulate the data here, but we're not going to do that for this lab. So what we want to do is, you notice it pops up to go to the worksheet. We're going to go to sheet 1, and you'll notice up here that Discover Weekly is a source of data for this. So we're going to be using that. So the measure or the dimension that we want to look at is energy. You'll notice it's not up here in the dimensions, but we can find it down here. So what we want to do, we want to convert this energy, which is currently a metric, to a dimension. And so we are going to choose to convert to dimension, and you'll see that it pops up here so that we can use it. So in order for us to use this as a metric, what we want to do is we want to pop that up as a column, and then what we need to do is choose a metric that we want to look at. Well, so what we're looking at is there's different measures of energy, but what we want to do is we want to add the metric of the number of records for each of those energy counts. So we grab number of records, we add it as a row, and then you will see a graphing of the number of records that have each of the values for energy. And that gives us our first graph. Let's rename that. That was Discover Weekly. So what I'm doing is right-clicking on that. I'm going to pull that up so you can see it. And I'm just going to call it Discover Weekly. Okay, so now what I want to do is I need to get access to my other spreadsheets. So this to me was a little counterintuitive, so I had to go through this a few times in order to really sort it out. You go to the second sheet, and what we want to do is we don't want to use the same data source. What we want to do is we want to come up here, and we want to choose the Excel file, again, the same Excel file. Click Open, and then we want to grab, in this case, it's Doct's Mellow Mix. So you'll notice that it's there. Now when I come to sheet 2, you'll notice that there is a data selection for Discover Weekly and Doct's Mellow Mix. Let's go ahead and rename this Doct's Mellow Mix. Now you'll name this whatever is the name of your playlist, not mine. And the same thing, again, we're going to have to convert that energy into a dimension. Pops it up there so that we can grab it and put it in column. And then we can add the number of records into the rows. And you can see how it graphs that out so that we can see it. So the Discover Weekly, the Doct's Mellow Mix. So we've got 2 of the 3. We want to add another sheet. Again, we need to come up and choose the Connect, choose the same spreadsheet. So what you're essentially doing is using the same spreadsheet as 3 different data sources, one for each of the spreadsheets in that workbook. And so we add that, come into sheet 3. You'll notice that it's highlighted for that. We want to convert the energy to a dimension. That comes up, populate it, and look at number of records. So now we're able to see the relative level of energy for each of them. Let's go ahead and rename this. So you can look between these and you can see the relative difference in energy between the three, so that it looks like Mellow Mix has actually got a higher level of energy than the Hangover Friendly or the Discover Weekly. Now, how can we do that without flipping through? Well, that's where a dashboard comes in. So that's the next thing that we're going to do. We're going to create a new dashboard. Now, when we have the new dashboard, what we're going to do is we're going to be able to drop the different sheets on there so that you can see the graph. So these are the sheets that are represented over here. So what we want to do is we want to drag this over here, and you'll see with the gray part what it's trying to do with that. So the first one you bring is going to want to fill the whole space. Now what I want you to do is to set these up not so that they're side by side, because you can do that, but I want you to do them one over the other. So as you notice, as you drag it, wherever your cursor is going is going to determine where that is going to be located. So stack those one above the other, and then the third down below, so you can see, and then you can resize them to get them about the same size. You can manipulate it in this way so that it's a good dashboard that allows you to see the differences between those various data sources within the same dashboard. So now that we have created this, we want to publish it. This is where you will have had to have created an account. So what I want to do is I want to save to Tableau public. So I click on that, give it a name, so what that'll do is it'll pop up inside of a browser, and then you can see that information. So there's the information. What I want you to do is to share that with me, and perhaps the best way to do that, and you can grab this URL and you can publish that, put that in the Dropbox, and that way I can actually come and see your data in place. So that's all we've got. So now you've got the ability to go in and play with this. You've been introduced to Tableau a little bit. So this is an opportunity. You can pull any data in here. So if you've got spreadsheets that you want to explore the data, that's a way of doing that. And spend some time, get to know this. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this particular software, but we wanted to expose it to you. And the summary is that we were able to take data about our music. We were able to choose a dimension of energy. We were able to look at the metrics to see what the different values for energy were and the number of records for each of those values, and compare it between lists so that we could see the differences in those lists.